Hey, so today I'm going to be addressing the topic of body image as per She's topic, and it's an issue that I have grappled with for a long time. I think as many other people in the world have.
Body positivity is a really sensitive issue and relevant issue to be being discussed because of just how much it can affect a person, with eating disorders, other mental health issues such as stress, anxiety, and even depression.
And I've spoken to many people, and I found it crazy how so many of us have body dysmorphic disorders and PDD, and how profoundly and horrifically that is impacting our mental health.
I think that body positivity is essentially being able to realize that your body doesn't necessarily have to reflect what's culturally seen as desirable, because obviously cultural fads come and go and you only have one body, and so it's important to be able to be comfortable in your own skin.
So for me, body positivity, the body positivity movement is truly important and an essential thing in the continuous fight to free people, but mostly women, from years of social restraints and rules that have sought out to control their minds as well as bodies. Because so many body types, skin tones, and physical characteristics were set aside and labeled as undesirable or worth rejecting.
I believe that body positivity is the intermarriage of mental and physical health. Physical health and mental health are equally important, and so when one seems to be more important than the other, I feel like that brings someone into a disequilibrium.
I think body positivity really works at two levels, at an internal level and an external level. At an internal level, it's really about being secure and comfortable in the body that you have and who you are. And I think that sense of comfort and security comes from the fact that no matter what type of body you have, people are going to judge you for it and they are inevitably going to disapprove of it. So even if you were to say achieve your body goals, whatever they may be, though they may be a minority, but there would always be some people who would disapprove and say, oh, you should be this way, or you should be that way instead. And I think that it's possible to derive a sense of security from that, knowing that no matter what you do, you're never going to be able to please everyone all over.
We reached a point where we're literally idolizing a very specific body type and shunning all those who missed the mark and even made sure that they knew that they weren't attractive enough or worthy of being loved. And unfortunately, I participated in the very toxic culture. And when I think about it, I realized just how deeply embedded those ideas were in my head, because I hurt and judged so many women around me, and for that I will always feel a part of responsibility. It was only when such claims were targeted towards me that I started to think, and I realized just how wrong I was thinking and how wrong I was seeing the world.
At home, my parents would call me by my nickname Zhuang Zhuang, which means strong in Chinese. But I'm never as physically strong as you expect. So there will always be friends and family coming to make comments on my body. Someone would say that you're so skinny, you should eat more. Someone would say boys should be strong, so you have to go to the gym and practice your muscles. Someone would even say that any beautiful clothes will look bad on you because your shoulder is too narrow and you don't have the pastorals.
I distinctly remember every Lunar New Year when our family gathers, always kind of expecting to get comments or to receive comments about how I looked, about family members asking if I had put on weight, if I had lost weight, and I always remember feeling the sense of fear.
Body positivity doesn't come easily to me as I endure standards from three worlds: a gay one, a straight one, and a Vietnamese one. My body and I have a history that is essay-long, but well, most people aren't ready for those kind of conversations. After all, this is body positivity, not negativity, in a minute. After a long time living with myself, through my mirrors and other people's eyes, my feeling fat doesn't really go away because the standards are always there. You can, however, get used to it, or better yet, wear proudly.
A lot of times, a skinny body shape is linked to unhealthiness, and even my mom will sometimes feel sorry for not eating enough in her pregnancy, which she believes leads to my underweight. So I have always been regarding my slimness as a big problem, as a health issue, as a lack of masculinity, and a deviance of social norms.
And it's really interesting to me how a comment like, oh, have you lost weight, kind of sometimes makes your day, which I think is kind of warped.
Because at that point, I was experiencing a fluctuation in my weight. I started noticing bumps and curves and stretch marks appearing on my body and finding everything about myself completely ugly and unattractive, that I pushed myself into very destructive behaviors.
The notion of thinness and the relationship that people have with food can be so distorted.
I would reduce my food intake. I would partake in very rigorous activities. I would expect people to compliment me on my body just to feel like I was enough or beautiful enough.
I think for me, body image is still very much a work in progress. I'm always constantly trying to, remind myself about why I want to, for instance, eat less or exercise more. Is it more because I am striving for a healthier lifestyle, or is it because I'm trying to fit into a certain kind of mold?
I've spent my whole life trying to be perfect, embody perfect, find perfect. All I seem to do is to continuously perfect everything. And yes, now you'll be asking yourself, what does she mean by perfect? And let me tell you, not even I know the answer to this. Perfect seems to change on a daily basis and desires to shine through in every aspect of my life, from school to friends to personal traits. The minute I see a model post a picture of herself with long, luscious hair, I think, oh, it's perfect. I go to the dentist's office and see photos of white, straight teeth on the wall and yet again think, perfect. The perfectionist in me won't go away, and it's especially true when it comes to looks. The perfectionist in me often sees what it deems as perfect and begins to compare it to myself. The perfectionist in me strives to be someone else, but doesn't realize that no matter how hard I try, there is no way in changing who I am, and all it does is point out my flaws, my personal insecurities. My thinning hair, thick thighs, pale skin, sweaty hands, and the list goes on. The perfectionist has led me to feel self-conscious, anxious, and has led me to dislike parts of myself that I used to love. The perfectionist is another being, and it controls me. And yet again, I'm told over and over again that being a perfectionist is good. Most people admire my ability to strive to be the best in everything I do, to go above and beyond, to discipline myself, to achieve good grades, to be competitive in sports, and simply to be the best. But what these people fail to see is that perfectionism can only be good when it is part of who you are and listens to you, not when it controls you.
We're constantly looking to social media, we're constantly looking at other people and kind of even role-playing people that we're not really supposed to be.
We always see many people posting glamorous pictures, and ultimately social media is just a highlight reel of all the good things that are happening in our lives. And sometimes I feel this kind of pressure to live up to a certain kind of beauty standard. And I also remember seeing some of my friends who don't have the typical slim fit kind of bodies posting bikini photos on Instagram and just feeling like, wow, really inspired by that, or that kind of confidence, or at least body acceptance, I guess.
The first time my mom asked me whether I wanted to get my legs waxed, I took it as an insult. I was 14. Actually, I had always questioned makeup and getting waxed, but I cared about other people's look. So I did get my legs waxed. But then I freaked out. I hated it. And I kept on asking myself, why the hell am I continuing to do something I simply don't like? At 16, I've had the chance to go live in Korea, and I noticed that it didn't matter whether I waxed my legs or not. Everybody was going to look at me in the streets anyway. That way, I developed a complete indifference regarding other people's look. It only mattered because I gave it importance. But now that I didn't, I finally stopped waxing my legs. And guess what? It was so nice. And no, not getting my legs waxed, it's not an act of rebellion against the patriarchy or anything. I just don't feel the need of doing it. It's just like makeup. If other people like putting on makeup, then fine. But I just don't feel like it's necessary for me.
I reached out to a doctor. I asked her, how can I put on more weight? How can I look stronger and look normal? But unexpectedly, she told me that if you're always in this shape, then there are no health issues. You shouldn't worry about that. People are naturally what they look like. Some are heavy, some are slim. That's it. People are different.
At an external level, I think it's about creating an environment that is conducive to people being comfortable in who they are and being able to express themselves as well. Unfortunately, I don't quite think we've reached that stage yet where, people don't judge a book by its cover, where they don't judge someone on the basis of their body, really. And I understand that it's difficult to have that internal sense of comfort and security without a conducive external environment where you're not going to be judged. But unfortunately, I think the reality of the world that we live in is that that external environment doesn't exist, and who knows whether it's likely to exist sometime in the future. Hopefully it will. So until then, I think a great way to go about it really is to sort of cultivate a sense of being okay in who you are and being comfortable with who you are and finding a balance, that works for you.
I am truly happy that the movement is gaining traction, but I do feel like for most of us it is a bit too late because we were brought up in a very toxic and selective environment where those ideas were truly embedded into us very deeply.
I think that it really takes its roots very early. You can feel ashamed about your body from a very young age, and it's hard to get out. So I think that it's really important that we teach children to think positively of their body and to teach children not to shame anyone for one's body from a very young age.
Society plays a large role in contributing to the idea of perfectionism, in neglecting a difference between people, and in setting unrealistic beauty standards that burden lots of girls and boys trying to grow up and trying to find themselves as individuals. As someone who's been anorexic myself and someone who continues to struggle with body dysmorphic disorder, I can say that a lack of control and lack of ability to be perfect can cause stress and fear. But this cycle of thoughts and perfectionism can also be broken.
I think it's just important to talk about these things. And ultimately, for me, I think I'm still trying to accept my body and how I look, and I don't think their journey's ever going to end. I think I'm always going to be striving, and that's all I can do.
Pick your niche, fuck shitty people, wear clothes that fit you, and move on. All wounds healed and wounds lived long enough can become beautiful tattoos. The process will be hard, and sometimes your tattoo will hurt. But as a proud, gay, fat Vietnamese dude, I can tell you this: the end result is worth it.
And I figured when I actively searched for my strength, they eventually outweigh my flaws, and then in turn bestowed upon me the best strengths we can all have, which is confidence.
It's crazy how innocuous comments and societal expectations, compounded with Western beauty standards and ideals, are so entrenched and so toxic in this day and age. And I hope that us having these discussions and dialogues with each other is a significant sign of progress.
Look towards activists, people that inspire you, people that share their confidence and have pride in simply being themselves. We're all human, and I'd like to finish off with one mantra. I am, I can, I will, I do. Hi everyone, I'm Marla. I led this episode of She along with Rabab, and along with a lot of other movements that we're seeing in today's day and age, the concept of body positivity has become a lot more prevalent. In a world ultimately where social media and technology have taken over our lives, we are oftentimes seeing false conceptions and unrealistic standards of beauty that can really negatively influence the way we view our own bodies. I was personally very driven to lead this episode after dealing with an eating disorder myself, and wanted to share a discovery that I came across in the process of recovery. While this obviously did take some time, I recognized that my focus shouldn't ultimately be on the numbers on the scale, the size of my pants, or this desire to become smaller in any way, but contrarily, I had to think about taking up more space, about how I could become bigger, not in the way my body is shaped and formed, but in my confidence, my stride, and attitude towards my own body. Bigger, better, more confident, and most importantly, more proud. And with that, I wanted to finish with a quote that's very close to my heart and I think will resonate with a lot of other people as well, is don't value your body over your being. Thank you.